Hello everyone and welcome back to the 500 horsepower tournament. I don't have anything else to say, so let's get into it. So, in this round, we're gonna be racing 3 laps around the streets of Tokyo. There's gonna be 3 different races with 5 heats of 7 each, but given I do not have the editing storage to fit all of that into one video, I guess I'll just have to make this round a 3-parter. And to determine who gets eliminated, we're gonna be using a completely unique point system which I don't think anybody else has done before. It goes like this. First place gets 5 points, second place gets 4, third place gets 3, fourth place gets 2, fifth place gets 1, and the bottom 2 get nothing. Anyways, part 1 is taking place at Tokyo Expressway Central. And so, with that being said, let's get into the races. So, for the first heat, we have kind of an all-star lineup here featuring SVTVP, Buck Sergeant Howard Hughes, Ukester, Interrupting Octopus, Arcadely, Ferrari, and Halo. Right away, we head off the start line as everybody manages to get a pretty decent start. And we are now into the first section of the track as Ukester manages to overtake Buck Sergeant. And it looks like everybody else is trying to overtake him, but it does not look like they're succeeding right now. Fortunately for Arcadely and Halo, they did not have any issues with overtaking. And as they make it through this tunnel right here, they're trying to catch back up to Ukester. And the Firebird is trying to make sure it does not lose any more positions. And while that is happening further back, Arcadely has managed to successfully catch up to Ukester. And now he is trying to overtake him as everybody makes it to the top speed section, which allowed Ferrari to find an overtaking opportunity on Buck Sergeant, while Ukester now has to hold off both Arcadely and Halo. And SVTVP has managed to build a respectable gap over the others. But I'm not sure if that's gonna be useful with the obstacles that are up ahead. But either way, they make it into this corner as Ukester is surprisingly managing to hold them off. I'm impressed. Not only that, but Ferrari also managed to catch back up, while poor Octopus is still stuck behind Buck Sergeant. And so they make their way through the final corner as Halo tries to overtake Arcadely but unfortunately does not succeed. Either way, they are now on the second lap. Anyways, Octo and Buck Sergeant may have fallen behind, but with the stuff up ahead, they might be able to catch back up no problem. That's right, the races feature roadblocks that are gonna be in your way, with your main goal being to get around them. And so, now everybody is trying to make their way out of the roadblocks in question. And from what I can tell, it looks like SVTVP manages to make his way through them first. And following him, as he also manages to find an open gap, is Octo, allowing him to carry on with the race. Oh, and Arcadely got out as well, while it looks like the other 4 are stuck here. And everybody, aside from Ukester who managed to break out right after, were stuck here for a freaking while. And that fact allowed Ukester to build a gap over them. As for SVTVP, Arcadely, and Interrupting Octopus, given they managed to break out so quick, they're making it into the third and final lap no problem, as Octo is managing to hold off Arcadely from overtaking him and Ukester's just chilling. Meanwhile in the back, it looks like Buck Sergeant has actually managed to break out of the roadblock. And following him right after is Halo, as he also manages to get out of here, leaving Ferrari in the C8 Corvette as the last one to get out of there, which is very unfortunate for him. Anyways, Halo is trying to catch back up to Buck Sergeant as Arcadely, Octo, and SVTVP made their way to the roadblock again, which gives Ukester an opportunity to catch back up to them. And same can be said for the other 2 who also got out. And I also must have missed something because Ferrari managed to break out of the roadblock. And so did the MX-5 and the Spectator NSX, as it is now speeding off trying not to get lapped by Octo, as it is being chased down the top speed section. And I guess this is where you can really see how fast the Spectator NSX can be, while Octo's MX-5 is trying to make a chase into the finish line, and a really fast one at that. And what can I say, both the MX-5 and the Spectator NSX turned out to be really quick here. In the meantime, Arcadely also managed to break out of the roadblock, and so did SVTVP, while Ukester unfortunately did not. Anyways, Ferrari is now on to the third and final lap as he is trying to catch back up to everybody else. Meanwhile, the Spectator NSX has managed to gap Octo, allowing it to not get lapped as a result. But either way, Interrupting Octopus crosses the finish line first, and following him is Arcadely in second and SVTVP in third. Now let's check what's happening back at the roadblock. It looks like Buck Sargent actually managed to catch back up to Ukester, and so did Halo, as the Vantage seems to be pretty caged in as of right now. And he tried to find a way to get through them for a freaking while, but unfortunately, it looks like both Halo and Buck Sargent beat him to it. And now they just gotta cross the finish line in order to get their points, giving Ukester a very unfortunate end, and same goes for Ferrari as he was unable to catch back up in time. Meaning that Halo was able to build a lead over Buck Sargent and get 4th place, while Buck Sargent himself gets 5th place. Meaning that Ukester's Vantage, despite getting out of the roadblock in the end, gets no points, and neither does Ferrari's C8 Corvette. For the second heat, we have Sophie, Fancy Wreck, Zeep Sheep, Reagan, Tom the Cat, Pin, and Mojave Queen. Off the start line we go as Zeep Sheep tries to overtake the Beeble bus, but unfortunately does not succeed from what I can tell. As it turns out that this is another pretty even lineup. Oh wait, never mind, I guess Zeep Sheep did succeed in overtaking it, and so did Tom the Cat. And it also looks like Sophie is surprisingly managing to keep first. Oh, Mojave Queen manages to pull a really smooth overtake on the Beeble bus, and she is now trying to catch up to Tom the Cat and Zeep Sheep. And despite Classic Muscle Cars not having a very good history overall, Sophie is still managing to keep first. Hell, she even managed to gap Zeep Sheep. But you know, this is only the beginning of the race, so things still might change. Anyways, it looks like Pin and Reagan are quite surprisingly being left behind, as the rest of their competition proves to be competitive. And so, Mojave Queen makes her way through this corner as she manages to catch up to Tom the Cat. And while she's trying to reach overtaking distance, Zeep Sheep has managed to catch up to Sophie. And as they make it through the tunnel, he also tries to reach overtaking distance. And fortunately for them, they both reached overtaking distance. Meanwhile, the Beeble bus is just there vibing. Anyways, the vacuum cleaner goes too far on the outside, giving the 512BB a chance to overtake. And Mojave Queen actually manages to overtake him as she makes her way to the second lap. And now we head into the tunnely section again, as the roadblocks should balance things out between everyone. As Sophie makes it into here and crashes into one. And so does Tom the Cat as he tries to overtake her. And this mayhem also allowed Pin and Reagan to catch back up. And let's just say everybody was stuck in the roadblock for a bit. But it was no problem for Mojave Queen, as she turns out to be the first one to get out of there. And alongside her is Sophie, as she also managed to break out pretty quickly. And it seems like the next one to break out is the Beeble bus, as it was pretty easy for him to find an opening due to his car being a lot less wider vertically. And so that leaves Pin, Reagan, Zeep Sheep, and Tom the Cat in the roadblocks. And let's just say finding another open gap was no easy task for them. But while they are stuck in here, Fancy Wreck is just thriving in the Beeble bus, and so is Sophie in the C3 and Mojave Queen in the 512BB, as they all cruise their way into the third and final lap. as FancyWreck is trying to catch up to Sophie, but with that large of a gap, I don't think he'll really succeed in that. And while these four are still failing to break out, Mojave Queen has made her way to the roadblocks again. And after making her way through a few roadblocks, and also the Spectator NSX, she manages to reach Reagan, Pin, Zeep Sheep, and Tom the Cat, who are still in the roadblock. And so does Sophie, making her way into here not long after. And so does FancyWreck, as the Beeblebus also made it to the roadblocks, albeit more carefully than Sophie, as he makes it through one of them and then gets caged in like everybody else? What? I can't believe it, like everybody's stuck in the roadblock right now. Bruh, this is literally only the second race and we are already in a massive traffic jam. And yes, everybody was caged in here for like a whole minute. And as almost everybody was stuck in the exact same spot, it was really only a matter of time before another gap opened up. And the first one to make it through that gap was Reagan, as he pretty much manages to make it out of the roadblock and not get lapped as a result. Meaning that he is now free, and so is FancyWreck, as the Beeblebus is now in first. But given Mojave Queen broke out right after, he now has to hold her off to get those 5 points. Sophie got out of the roadblock too. Anyways, as they make it to the final sector of the track, Mojave Queen manages to catch up to FancyWreck no problem. And as the Samba Bus goes a little wide on the outside, he unfortunately fails in holding off the 512 BB. But still, his performance here overall was really good. And just like that, Mojave Queen is first and gets 5 points, while FancyWreck continues the trend of getting second, earning himself 4 points, and Sophie is third, earning herself 3 points. And Reagan in fourth gets 2 points, as it is literally impossible for that outcome to change in any way. Meaning that it's really just a chase between these three for who gets the 1 point. Even though Pin got a good head start, it doesn't really matter, as Zeep Sheep managed to catch up to him instantly, and so did Tom the Cat. And as they make it to here, Tom the Cat overtakes Zeep Sheep on the outside, or at least tries to. And so, after a bit of a switcheroo, he manages to overtake Zeep Sheep. But as for Pin, it was a really close chase to the finish line, but unfortunately for him, Pin comes out on top, earning the 1 point. Meaning that Tom the Cat and Zeep Sheep both get screwed over by their own tactic. For the third heat, we have Freddy Fazbear, Lighter, Brett Fox, Mojave King, Thunderstorm Gaming, Marionette, and Zetsu. Right away, you can see that Brett Fox had no problems with overtaking Lighter. And as we head off into the tunnely section, Freddy Fazbear's trying to keep the first place. And he does seem to be succeeding as of right now. And while that is happening, Mojave King is successfully overtaking Lighter, as the Shelby fails to hold off the Countach, while Marionette and Thunderstorm Gaming are battling against each other. And they're both really fast too. And so, as we make it out of the tunnel, Mojave King's trying to catch up to Brett Fox, who himself is trying to keep up with Freddy Fazbear in the Fairlardy Z. And as a result of not paying much attention to Mojave King, he manages to overtake him. And now the only thing standing in Mojave King's way is Freddy Fazbear, as the Fairlardy seems to be holding up strong against the Countach. And while they're battling in the front, in the back, Marionette and Thunderstorm Gaming are trying to pull an overtake on Lighter. And poor Zetsu is in last place currently. Anyways, it looks like Lighter doesn't seem to be giving up easily, as he doesn't want to lose any more positions, and neither does Brett Fox, as he is trying to keep up with Mojave King and Freddy Fazbear. Speaking of which, Mojave King is trying to find an overtaking opportunity on Freddy Fazbear as they both head into the second lap. And so he manages to find one on the start-finish straight. But remember, he's not in the clear yet, as he still needs to make it through the roadblocks. And so, everybody heads into here as they try to find an open gap. And that fact alone allows everybody that's in the back of the grid to catch back up to them. And now all they can really do is wait for an opportunity to open up, which luckily was not a major problem for Mojave King, as he manages to make it through the roadblock no problem, allowing him to happily carry on with the race. And following him as they're the next ones to break out are Freddy Fazbear and Brett Fox. And they make it to the final set of roadblocks in the front, as another opportunity for them to break out opens up right after, meaning that they too can now carry on with the race. But unfortunately, Zetsu, Lighter, Marionette, and Thunderstorm Gaming do not have that same comfort. Anyways, Brett Fox is now cruising as he tries to catch up to Freddy Fazbear, and Mojave King's chilling with a giant lead over everyone else. Meanwhile, Zetsu in the BMW Vision GT makes his way through the roadblocks, and so does Thunderstorm Gaming and Lighter. And as they are free of the roadblock, it's now a battle between Zetsu and Thunderstorm Gaming, or Try Hard versus Underdog. And as they made it to the top speed section, Zetsu seems to be winning as of right now, with Lighter kinda being left behind. But Thunderstorm Gaming's not giving up, as he is not letting Zetsu beat him again. Meanwhile in the front, Brett Fox, Freddy Fazbear, and Mojave King have already made their way into the final lap. But besides that, nothing really changed in terms of grid placements. And even though Zetsu has managed to build up a gap in the corners, Thunderstorm Gaming is not letting go. Also, if you're wondering, Marionette did manage to break out of the roadblock and isn't just stuck there. But given he was the last one to break out, he now has a lot of ground to cover if he wants to catch back up. While in the front, Mojave King has made it to the roadblocks again, meaning that if he pulls it off just right, Freddy Fazbear might actually be able to catch back up, or Brett Fox for that matter. But once again, it looks like the roadblocks are no big issue for Mojave King, allowing him to make it out of there fast. And same can be said for Brett Fox in the Focus RS, as he manages to take second place due to Freddy Fazbear not being able to break out as quickly. Either way, he's still on the podium. In the meantime, the battle between Zetsu and Thunderstorm Gaming only continues as they make it out of the tunnels. And as they have now made it to the top speed section, I'm sure the roadblocks are gonna balance things out between the two. And so, Thunderstorm Gaming managed to overtake Zetsu as he makes it to the actual roadblock itself. And now it's all up to whether or not they can find an overtaking opportunity, as Thunderstorm finds one, but Lighter comes out of nowhere and pushes him out of the way, claiming it first. And as the opportunity to break out of there actually arrives, allowing Lighter and Thunderstorm Gaming to make it out, leaving Zetsu stuck here with Marionette. In the meantime, Mojave King gets 5 points, Brett Fox gets 4, and Freddy Fazbear gets 3. Now, between the Shelby and the M3 GTR, it looks like the Shelby actually manages to make it through all the roadblocks first, while the M3 GTR got cog-blocked for a bit longer, meaning that Lighter gets 2 points and Thunderstorm Gaming has 1, as he is the one to come out on top this time, while Zetsu alongside Marionette get no points this race. For the 4th heat, we have 454 HO Bowtie, Terrified Hockeyzard, Martzog, Zolstis, Jakubek, Charles Leclerc, and me. Starting off not so great, as the Charger did not get a good start off the line, allowing almost everyone to overtake Terra instantly. And Bowtie in the Chevelle is trying to hold off Martzo, who has already reached overtaking distance. And as everybody makes it through the tunnels, I'm trying to keep up with Jakubek. And while that is happening, Charles Leclerc is failing to overtake the Charger, But either way, Jakubek's doing good despite his performance being pretty underwhelming last time. Oh, I see Bowtie got overtaken by Martso. And Xolstis alongside Jakubek is trying to do the same thing on the top speed section. While Martso is now trying to build a gap over the Devil Z, who managed to actually overtake Bowtie. And as we head through this tunnel, I come out of nowhere and manage to overtake Jakubek and Bowtie. But of course, the Chevelle would not go down without a fight, while Charles Leclerc has managed to overtake Terra. And as everybody makes it through the last section of the track, I managed to overtake Bowtie. And now I'm trying to find an overtaking opportunity on Xolstis, which I'm pretty sure is not gonna be easy. And we make it through the final corner as Martso has managed to build a gap over everyone else. And heading into the second lap, Charles Leclerc manages to catch up to Jakubek. As for terrified Hawkizard, he kinda just fell behind as the race went on. But lucky for him, the roadblocks are up ahead. And so, as they reach the roadblock itself, both Xolstis and Martso manage to make it through the first set really quickly. And also allows everybody else to catch back up to Jakubek and me. And the non-American classics are making their way through the roadblocks flawlessly. That is, until Martso got caged in for a bit, allowing Xolstis to take first place and break out of the roadblock first. But it's nothing for Martso to worry about, as another opportunity to overtake them opens up here. And just like that, Martso is now off to catch back up to the Devil Z. Meanwhile, I and Jakubek have made it through the first set of roadblocks. And in terms of making it through the second pack, then I'm in luck, as I easily found another overtaking opportunity. And same can be said for Jakubek in the Beetle and Terra in the Charger 5 seconds later. But it unfortunately means that Bowtie and Charles Leclerc are now stuck here, as their chance to make it out of the roadblock is nowhere to be seen, which is very unfortunate for the two of them. But that does mean Terra doesn't have to worry about losing positions anymore. Meanwhile, Jakubek is now trying to catch back up to my Porsche 996, while Martso and Xolstis are kinda just chilling as they make their way to the third and final lap, with Xolstis potentially even being a race winner. But it's not guaranteed yet. I hope they haven't forgotten, but there's still one more lap they need to complete. Anyways, at the moment, I'm kinda just chilling with a podium spot while Jakubek and Terra fail to catch up to me. At least from what I can tell. Anyways, me and Martso have now made it to the tunnely section. And the Devil Z is nearly out as it makes it through the tunnels in question. And as he makes it to the top speed section, he crashes into the Spectator NSX while trying to zoom off. Oh, and if you're wondering, Charles Leclerc and Bowtie are still stuck here. Anyways, Xolstis has managed to recover pretty quickly after that massive head-on collision, and the collision in question also allowed Martso to catch back up to him. And I also made it to the roadblocks in question, as my 996 also had a head-on collision with the NSX. And to avoid yet another one, Jakubek makes his way through this corner very carefully. And so does Terra, as he also slows down on this corner, even if it means he loses time to others. And, well, we have another situation where everyone's stuck in the roadblock at the same time. But I'm pretty sure Bowtie and Charles Leclerc are sick of sitting here, as they both managed to find an overtaking opportunity, and they're now trying to catch back up to everybody else. I guess they are not getting lapped after all. Meanwhile, all the others can really do is just wait for an opportunity to open up. And I'm pretty sure the Chevelle and the F40 are gonna catch back up to us regardless of how long we sit here. Either way, all 5 of us are just sitting here, waiting for a roadblock to get out of the way, since we have literally no other option to do anything else. And so, after a bit of waiting, one opportunity opens up, that being for Jakubek, as the Beetle seems to be the first one to break out of it. and now he can just cruise to the finish line. In the meantime, Charles Leclerc and Bowtie are in the tunnely section and are catching up corner by corner. And while everybody else is stuck in the roadblock, Jakubek gets first and earns 5 points. And it looks like the next one unstuck is Solstice, as his Devil Z makes it through the traffic as soon as possible. And as he is now free, he is cruising to the finish line to earn his points, and so am I, as the Porsche 996 breaks out as well. Unfortunately for Terra, the gap closed before he could make it through, meaning that he is now stuck here with his arch-rival Marzo. And with nothing else to do than wait, it's pretty much inevitable that they're not making the podium, meaning that they both now have to deal with Charles Leclerc and Bowtie as they manage to catch back up. While in the front, Solstice in second gets 4 points, and I in third get 3 points. And as for the other 4, all we can do is just wait for an opportunity to open up. And from what I can tell, it looks like the 2 points for 4th place go to Marzo, as he is the very next one to break through. And now the question is, who out of these 3 is gonna get the 1 point? And so, like that, another opportunity opens up for Terra. But now he has to hold off Charles Leclerc in order to get the 1 point. And being honest, it looks like the Charger is actually succeeding in that. And so, it looks like the General Lee is making it through. And after a ton of nervous sweating, Terrified Hawkyzard in 5th place gets 1 point, while Charles Leclerc in the F40 and Bowtie in the 454 get none. For the 5th heat, we have A-Lord GT, W12, Private First Class Chuck Patterson, Max Verstappen, Virgil, Oatmeal Scucolati on the road again, and Julie Canotto. As soon as the race starts, W12 tries to overtake A-Lord GT. And from what I can tell, he managed to do just that, as he is now in 1st place already. And Max Verstappen is trying to hold off Oatmeal Scucolati. And as we are now in the tunnely section, Chuck Patterson has fallen down to 5th. And now the C2 is trying to prevent itself from losing any more positions. And while that is happening, Max Verstappen has unfortunately failed to hold off Oatmeal Scucolati as he gets overtaken. And as they are now on the top speed section, Oatmeal Scucolati in the GT40 instantly catches up to W12 and A-Lord. But luckily for them, the roads are not as wide as on other tracks, meaning he can't just overtake them as easily. And during that mayhem, A-Lord GT has managed to overtake W12 back. Not only that, but it looks like Julie Canotto has managed to overtake Chuck Patterson, and so did Virgil. Meaning that with more challengers up ahead, things should get a bit more interesting. And now we make it onto the final section of the track as Max Verstappen is trying to prevent Julie Canotto from overtaking him. And quite surprisingly, A-Lord is managing to keep first despite all the chaos that's happening behind him. And Max Verstappen gets beaten by Oatmeal Scucolati again as everybody heads into the second lap. And even though Chuck Patterson is the slowest here, he is not actually that far behind. But either way, the roadblock should help him in getting some positions back. I could not tell you who overtakes who as they made it to the roadblocks, cause for most part I cannot see anything. But from what I can tell, W12 and Virgil both managed to overtake A-Lord. And as they're making their way through the roadblocks, W12 in the Audi TT easily manages to find a way out of here. And so did Max Verstappen, Virgil, and Private First Class Chuck Patterson, allowing them to continue the battle against each other and for Chuck Patterson to gain some positions back. But that does mean Oatmeal Scucolati, Julie Canotto, and A-Lord are all stuck here now. And so the search for an open gap begins, which I can guarantee you that most of it was unsuccessful. It really does suck to be stuck in the roadblock, huh? But while they are trying to find an overtaking opportunity on these guys, everybody else has already made it to the third and final lap. Oh, and also Virgil managed to overtake Max Verstappen, as they are now making it across the tunnely section along with Private First Class Chuck Patterson, who is not far behind. And now it looks like Virgil is trying to take first place away from W12, while Max Verstappen and Chuck Patterson are just kinda chilling. Meanwhile, it looks like A-Lord GT has managed to make his way out of the roadblock, and so did Oatmeal Scucolati. And now the both of them are on the way to catch back up to everybody else, as it looks like W12, Virgil, Max, and Chuck all made it to the roadblocks again. And now it is just the classic game of who can make it through the roadblocks the fastest, as they are now slowly heading into the top speed section as they try to find an open gap together. And it looks like them being stuck here allows A-Lord and Oatmeal Scucolati to catch back up by a respectable margin. Anyways, it looks like Max Verstappen and W12 both managed to make it through the first set the fastest. And now they make their way to poor Julie Canotto, who's still stuck here. And they also managed to lap him as Max Verstappen and W12 both get out of the roadblock. Oh, and Virgil as well, as he also manages to squeeze through the gap, but unfortunately for Chuck Patterson, he was not as lucky. And what makes his situation even worse is that both Oatmeal Scucolati and A-Lord have managed to catch back up to him. And as he cleared the top speed section with these guys, luckily he does not lose any positions, as the C2 Corvette breaks out before any of the two can overtake him. And now he just needs to make it to the finish line to claim his points. Speaking of which, Max Verstappen manages to cross the finish line, earning himself 5 points, while W12 has 4 points, Virgil has 3, and with no way of anybody catching up to him, Private First Class Chuck Patterson gets 2 points. And Julie Canotto is pretty much a lost cause at this point, so it's really a battle between A-Lord and Oatmeal Scucolati for the 1 point. And now we just wait for either of them to break out. And after a whopping 40 seconds of them being stuck here, they finally manage to break out. And now Oatmeal Scucolati has to overtake A-Lord to get the 1 point. But it looks like the overtake in question is easier said than done, as A-Lord doesn't seem to be giving up so easily. And across the final corner they both make it, and now it's time for a chase to the finish line, which honestly was really close, but it looks like A-Lord comes out on top, earning himself 1 point, while Oatmeal Scucolati on the road again and Julie Canotto have 0 points. And these are the current standings. Being honest here, this round was a lot of fun for me to make, and I cannot wait to see how the other 2 races are gonna twist things up overall. And that's about it for part 1 of round 2. If you enjoyed it, which I know you did, like the video, and maybe even consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.